Okay, so first, please state your name and position at Joliet West.
Lieutenant Colonel White, Senior Army Instructor.
Okay, so first off, how old were you when you first enlisted into the Army?
I was 18.
How long were you thinking of joining the military?
Maybe a year, about a year and a half. Yeah, and that was I had to enlist to go to West Point to go to the prep school. So I did enlist to do that, and then I went into the academy the next year. So 18.
Okay, are you still serving now?
Nope. Well, yes and no. I'm retired, so I still stay involved, but I'm retired. Been retired for 10 and a half years now.
At what age did you retire?
44. 44.
What is the age that you can enlist in the military?
I believe 18, but I think you might be able to do it at 17 with parental consent.
Do you know why that is?
I don't know why. I'm sure it's something to do with someone probably did some research to determine what age people could effectively, do the job that the military requires. So I'm not sure the exact answer to that. Probably one may have to look up or something, but why they decided on 17, 16, 8, whatever the number could have been, Yeah.
At what age is the cutoff age for enlisting in the military?
Ooh. For enlisting, I don't know the exact answer. If I were to guess, 32ish. But that's when you can, I would look that one up to make sure. But it's somewhere in the early 30s. But I don't have the exact number off the top of my head.
So based off of that, why is that age the cutoff?
Based on some discussions I've had with folks, because I've always asked, if the person's 36, 35 years old, and the cutoff is 34, and they're in better shape than anyone else, why would you not want them in there? A lot of it has to do with money from a medical standpoint, because at some point people are going to, they look at all this data and all this kind of stuff, and they know when people are traditionally either sick or they have injuries and all that, and it starts to happen at a certain age. So I think part of the reason why they kind of do those age restrictions is to help themselves out on the other end, ensure they're not spending a whole lot of money in medical coverage. If that makes sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
What are the requirements for joining the military?
Your requirements. You have to be in some physical condition. You have to be able to pass your ASVAB, all right, which is the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery, that exam. 31 is the minimum score. You have to have all your medical things have to be correct as well. Whatever the medical review board feels is important. I know things like asthma, bad feet, shoulder and bad injuries, things like that. Maybe certain medications, if you're taking, may prevent you from enlisting as well. It tends to be a little more stringent for officers as we're going to send them through ROTC or to West Point, because so much money and resources go into training an officer, so they might even test it even more so.
For citizens under the age of 18, is there a way to enlist without the need of a parental signature?
Not that I'm aware of. I would imagine in a time of emergency, they could potentially reduce that age, but we've never been at that point. So, and I do know of people who falsified their ages the way, years ago in earlier wars when it's probably more difficult to check the thing, because they wanted to go and serve and fight. In fact, I knew a guy that became a 3-star general. He gave me that story where he enlisted early. He faked his age so he could enlist, but he made it happen. He was a private, and then he got to be a lieutenant. Next thing you know, he was commanding the division in Korea. So, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the age restrictions?
I don't really have a problem with it. Probably the only part that sometimes gets discussed isn't so much the restrictions, the age restrictions as far as joining the military, but the issue sometimes arises when you get people who are old enough to enlist, fight for their country, and die for their country, but they're not allowed to do other things because they're not 21 yet. So if it comes down to alcohol, as it's usually the big one there, there may be a few other 21 type of things. You have to wait till you're 21 before you can do it, but you can join the military. Seems to be a little, doesn't seem to align very well for me.